The full practice review is for the therapist who wants a complete look at the business, website, profiles, niche, pricing, marketing, and a strategic roadmap delivered as a written report. Details at privatepaypractitioners.com. Hey everyone, it is DJ Burr, founder of Private Pay Practitioners, and I am back for the Private Pay Practitioners Premium podcast. And I have another fabulous guest for you guys. Sarah Benitez Zandi is here this afternoon for me. And so, Sarah, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad to have you here. Sarah is a licensed clinical social worker and founder of Trauma Wise Healing, which is a private pay practice built around 90-minute sessions and trauma intensives. And I really love Sarah's work around the idea around cycle breaking, which I hope that we can talk about because that's a framework that you work from, right?
It is. And that actually kind of came to me when I was reading your book, is like it kind of had an epiphany.
What?
Yep. Yes.
Oh, you got to tell me which book.
The Private Pay Practitioner guide.
Oh, the playbook.
The playbook, yeah. So I used the accessibility feature while I was walking the dogs, and I was listening to it. And, it talks about your niche and how do you describe it. And I was thinking about all of the people that I love to work with the most. And I was like, they're all cycle breakers. They are all done doing what they've been doing. And it just kind of brought all of my clinical expertise together. And I had been struggling with that for years of I'm interested in all these things, but how do they all intertwine? And so your book, the chapter about niches and finding your passion is kind of what finally got me there. And I was like, that's it. So, I was very proud of myself at, 4:30 in the morning and walking the dogs.
Sarah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh my word, I'm about to cry. Okay. Man, I gotta go to work after this. Oh my word. Wow. Accessibility, yes. And this is exactly what I try to teach people is look for the theme. Because when I saw Cycle Breaker, I was like, oh yeah, that's me. That's I'm her ideal client based on what you were describing in your information to me, because that's exactly what I did and do. So thank you for that. That just lit up
Absolutely.
my day.
No problem. Well, and it's funny because not everybody's there yet, right? Some people
Right.
are still just trying to identify the cycle, or they're just I know something's not right. I just don't know what it is. And once they figure it out, they might not be ready yet. And that's okay. There's nothing
Oh
wrong with that,
yeah. There's nothing
right?
wrong with that. I get a lot of people do that.
Right. You just got to meet people where they are, and you can't, force them. And so, sometimes people are there and sometimes they're not. And we all got to get there in our own time.
I love it. I love it. Tell the people about where your practice is located and how to get started with this multi-state and practice.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am physically located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And that's where I was originally licensed. Back in 2018 was when I got my LCSW officially. And then, like everybody, right? COVID
Yeah.
happened.
Yes.
Right. And at the time, I was very part time in private practice, but I was running a skilled home care agency as a clinical manager. And so COVID hit hard and fast, and I was working all of the time. And honestly, therapy, as crazy as this is going to sound, was kind of my break. And
Yes.
being able to really connect with people, because in healthcare at the time, you couldn't do much of anything, right? You were trying to get in and out and stay as far away from people as you could. And so Florida launched their telehealth license during that time,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
jumped on, right? Just like probably a
Everybody,
lot of
me
people
too.
did. Right, exactly. And then I was like, okay, I like this. And then came Illinois, right? And then Minnesota, and then, North Carolina, Virginia, right? And so you just kind of kept going. And the process was a lot more simple than I thought it would be. It's a pain to track the CEUs and stuff. But, as it kind of kept going, I was like, "Okay." Right, and then like everybody, hoping the compact would, get going, and it's taking longer and longer and
Yes.
longer. So I'm at 12 and holding right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I started with, my insurance practice is Milwaukee Mental Health and Consulting. Um, and so I started there, and then the more training I got around trauma and the more separated I got from like medical social work and things like that, the more I realized that when I do EMDR or ART or any of my like trauma based interventions, 55 minutes is not enough. Right, we would just be getting started, or we would just be digging in, and then I'd be like, "Okay, well, see you next week," or, "See you when we get connected again."
Yeah.
Um, and then more things would happen, and then we'd never get to circle back.
That is so true. I mean, that happens with my clients too, because I do
Mhm.
EMDR as well.
Yep,
And I was kind of taught, like, the first 5 minutes, you do a brief check in and then, like, you get into it. But the clients may have something else on their plate that day. And then we reserve room for that. And then, holiday hits. And then, like, oh, a month has gone by and we have to go back to this target.
absolutely. Well, and that was it, right? Is we would want to start with one target, but then they'd be so fixated on what's happening, understandably, and they're like, "I can't think about anything but this," and I'm like, "Okay, well, then let's go with that, or we're gonna figure it out." Right? And we would try, and so it felt like kept kind of spinning our wheels, which was one of the ways I got introduced to accelerated resolution therapy, like ART. It's very similar to EMDR, but it's very like structured. There's like a beginning and an end to the protocol that you kind of follow. And some people love it and some people don't. And honestly, I prefer both. There's a time and a place
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think, I've been considering adding another modality to my tool belt as well. And I had thought about ART, but I've been thinking about brain spotting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
I did the introduction to brain spotting, like, what is it, level 1 training
yeah.
when I was a baby therapist. Like, I don't even think I was, like, independent on my own yet when I did it. I think it might have been 2015 or 2016, and I wasn't ready. Like, I didn't understand. I didn't have enough clinical knowledge. I didn't understand trauma enough. I didn't understand the brain enough. It just was like, "Oof." I understand the power of it now, but
Yeah.
but that's definitely, I think, EMDR, brain spotting, ART, like, those are modalities that you really need to have a good understanding of trauma and, like, dissociation and what you're doing, because it can be a little dangerous if you go out there all willy-nilly.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't want to do that for sure.
No.
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 And, speaking of willy nilly, we definitely don't want to build our practices willy nilly either.
Right.
you know,
Absolutely.
So talk to us about like the structure of like how you started with your insurance-based practice and then was like, okay, I need to make a pivot.
Yeah. So I started probably how a lot of people do, which was on like, a platform. Right? Like,
Okay.
the larger kind of platforms that are out there that you can just kinda sign up with, and then they'll, credential you and pay you a
Mhm.
portion, right? And I quickly learned that that just wasn't for me. You end up with, like, a lot of clients, a lot not maybe not so appropriate, and not a lot of control, and so, I slowly started getting credentialed, with the help of I did it myself for a while and then hired somebody who was better at it than me. And I kept very part-time from probably 2018 until 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, I stayed in medical social work as like my full-time, I need insurance job.
Yeah.
And, did my private practice part-time. And then when it became time to kind of step away post COVID and things like that, it was time for me to step away from medical social work. And then I went into it full-time. And I still partnered with like EAP and things like that. And I worked a lot. I think it's like 7 AM to like 4 PM every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekend, sometimes because I didn't know the balance. And I was still trying to figure out how to make the numbers work, right? You leave from like a salaried position where you're used to getting X amount and you're still trying to figure life out. Um, and then I realized that wasn't sustainable for me, right? And it wasn't good for my clients either, right? As my family started to grow and I wanted to be more present, and realizing that the way that I was treating the clients with the modalities that I use and the people that I work with, insurance probably wasn't going to be it. Like we needed more time, and I wasn't willing to donate my time. Right? Like
Ain't that the
I have
truth?
to live too.
Yeah, and you know what? And then even if the insurance is not going to pay you more for
Right.
a session, and then at some point you have to deal with authorizations, potentially clawbacks. Did you have a clawback experience?
So a little bit, nothing crazy, though some of the states that I'm licensed in, like Ohio, Minnesota, have been facing like clawbacks to the level of like bankrupting practices. Like there was
Yes.
some insurance companies clawing back like 10 years, which
Hold
is
on.
crazy.
What?
Yeah, there was so they came back in Ohio, they came back and they said, "Oh, we're not gonna do that, but moving forward," because they were facing a bunch of lawsuits, right? But yeah, I guess they were paying people, and it was a Medicaid-based program, so the state gets a little bit more leeway when they can claw back, right? Because it's, you know, who can fight the state?
It,
Right?
right. We don't have that in our back pocket to prepare
Right.
for
Yeah,
that.
we're not a big company, with and even the big companies aren't winning anymore, right? You see the large companies that are getting paid, right? Or they can't bill 90837s anymore. And yeah, and so my biggest thing was like trying to negotiate, right? Because there are some
Yeah,
companies out there that were, paying a portion of right, like, paying worse than like Medicaid would normally pay, which is usually the lowest.
exactly.
And so I started depaneling when I was like, well, this is my experience. This is what I think I'm worth. And like, we will give you, $2. And I was like, thank you, but no, thank you. It's time for me to
Right.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. There I hear crazy ass stories.
Yeah.
10 years is tops. I
Right.
mean, I have my own crazy ass story where I just got paid 10 years later after I got off of the panels because they've one filed bankruptcy. But this 10-year, retroactive, you got to pay us back because maybe some AI said the
Hmm.
client didn't meet the criteria 10
Right.
years ago is bonkers.
Well, and I funny fought for a whole year to get reimbursed from a company with my amazing biller. And we got reimbursed finally. And then I refunded all my clients because at that point I thought I was never going to get any money. And then they came back like 8 months later and clawed back for some of them saying that there wasn't timely filing. And I was like, we've been through this. Right. And I was like, we've done this. You guys, it was on you because you weren't executing your contracts efficiently. Like, you were granting contracts and you weren't submitting them into your system efficiently. Right, and so it's just kind of like that was also another, like, "Okay, it might be time for me to, take some more steps back." And so, as I started learning more about intensives, therapy
Yeah.
intensives, and that, I'm not the crazy person who thinks that 50 minutes isn't enough or, then I was like, okay, it's time to start making that transition because I saw significantly more progress with 90 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, like life changing,
Yeah.
progress. And like, I have lots of like teachers or first responders or people who can't afford to take a ton of time off of work. They do some intensives through the summer or on a break. They take like a week off and they make more progress in that week than they have in a year.
I love intensives. I think they're great for some who can do them. I can do them on occasion. If I have a
Right.
client, we have a good solid plan, we're going to do it. Every day, I couldn't do it.
That's fair.
I couldn't do it. I need some variety. Um, but so talk to us about like how yours are structured. What do you do differently that makes you kind of stand out?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my intensives, my regular sessions are standard 90 minutes. So that way we can kind of get through whatever you need to get through. And I have training with EMDR and ART, but also somatic therapy, and other like body, like grounded modalities. And so I do a very thorough assessment. Like I look at people's dissociation, screen for PTSD, not because I think everybody has PTSD, but it really helps me to understand what symptoms they're experiencing because we might have PTSD like symptoms. But not have PTSD, right? We might have those intrusive thoughts, or we might have those avoiding behaviors. And it's a nice way for me to kind of capture all of that, and do we do a lot of like preparation around making sure that people are aware of like what's happening in their body. And so when we are doing the work, I can help them move through those unwanted sensations. I can help them recognize, hopefully, so that way we can work with their dissociation. Because there's a lot of fear, rightfully so, around dissociation. And a lot of people, have this perception that they need to be able to control it or alleviate it. And oftentimes, for people who live with dissociation, it's about working within what they have, right? It's about
Mhm.
understanding their window of tolerance and what that looks like. And so, with those longer sessions, it allows us to go more slowly if we need to. And it allows us to switch, right? Maybe we are doing eye movements. Maybe that's too much and we need to pivot to tapping. Maybe the tapping is feeling overwhelming and we switch to like, audio or like,
Yeah, buzzies.
fuzzies. Yeah. So it gives us it gives me specifically the ability to pivot a lot and to meet somebody where they are. If we start with EMDR and realize that, right, there's really one specific memory that they need to target. And if we can move that memory, we could get them through EMDR with less distress. Then I'll pivot to ART. And I can do that when I have 2 to 3 hours. If we only have 50 minutes, we're probably stopping and I'm spending most of the time regrounding you so I don't send you back out into the world to have a panic attack, right? Or feeling
Yeah.
not connected in your body.
Yeah, we definitely don't wanna send clients back out to the world, not being grounded, and being more vulnerable than they were when they came in, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I love that, so, if you could do 2 to 3 hours and, get a lot of progress in, why not? If that fits you and the client. It has to fit the client too.
Correct. 100%. And some clients aren't appropriate for it, right? Or their life isn't. Right? Like
Ooh, yeah.
if they can't like they have a newborn, right? And we're working on like, birth trauma, but you can't get more than 2 hours of sleep. Now's not the time. Right? We need to
Absolutely.
stabilize you and just help you get through what you're going through right now, and we can work on some of the heavier stuff later, right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm. Yeah. So as this transitioning is happening, what are you finding the most difficult?
I think part of it's my own fear of the unknown, right? Like some of the beauty, my false sense of beauty of insurance companies, right, is that you feel like there's this sense that you're going to get paid. Now, I've been with insurances enough to know that that's not always true. Now, right? But more often than not, hopefully, you are getting paid. And so, that's a part of it, right? Is will there be people out there? Can people afford it? Right? Do people think do they see value in what it is that I do the way that I see value in it? Um, Marketing,
Yeah.
right? Especially being in 12 states, right? I can network here very easily, right? I went to school here. I'm connected to a bunch of different systems here, especially having a healthcare background and things like that. But I grew up in Virginia, but I haven't been there in like 5 years. Right. I
Yeah.
haven't, you're right, can't market there as easily. And so kind of figuring out what that looks like. And I actually got um connected with somebody through the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the small town SEO,
Yeah,
Danielle,
Danielle. I
right?
love
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, so we're working together now to kinda get the website where it needs to be and do all that kinda stuff to hopefully get that piece out there 'cause, I went through all the work of getting licensed in 12 states. I wanna make sure I'm capitalizing on that.
Absolutely, because you know what? It ain't cheap to get licensed
Right,
and to
and to
stay
sustain.
licensed. Yeah,
Right.
yes, I know, I'm only in a handful. I couldn't do 12.
Right.
The compact is on board here in Georgia, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for
Someday.
it.
Someday.
I got enough stuff going on. But this is the thing, though. So marketing is hard, but what about
Mhm.
networking? Like, how's
Yeah.
that going?
So, little by little. So I am trying to like do my best to keep an eye out in like different Facebook groups for people who have niches that are like complementary to mine. Or maybe people work with like maybe, adult children of immature parents, right? So my family therapy, all I do is work with adult children and their parents in like reconciliation or hoping to not end up estranged and things like that. And so that might complement if they get to a place where they might want to explore revisiting the family unit again and setting boundaries and doing that kind of stuff. The hard part with that has been building in the time. And so that was the other shift from insurance to private pay is, being able to charge in a way that is congruent with my value, but also that allows me the time to do the other things that I need to do to have a successful practice, both for myself, which is continuing education, things like that, and have a work life balance, but also for my clients, where I can show up fully for them and hold the space for them that they need, especially with the very heavy things that they bring to me.
Mhm. Can you pick a day? One networking day?
And I think I need to, right, is
Yeah,
what it boils down to. Is I need to be okay with saying, hey, I'm not available every other Monday or every other whatever day because I need to focus on, having like coffee via Zoom or something like that.
absolutely. So I would just recommend plugging that into your calendar, blocking it off, especially because it sounds like it's a need. There's a need right now to
Yes.
stay connected and get connected to new people, right? And then I want to make sure I'm getting some clarity here. So you are looking for posts of people who might align, or are you posting yourself asking to see who's available?
Um, Both.
Okay.
So more so probably looking than posting. I tried posting and then I got a lot of responses, which was great. And then I found it hard to follow through because there was
Mm.
so much response. And then I didn't have enough time in my day. And I still need to go back and send some apology emails and circle back on that. Because the follow through is huge. And I want to make sure I think that when I do that again, I'm in a place where I have set aside time to value not only my time, but theirs.
Yes, yes, it's so important because people come to me all the time and say, "Hey, DJ, like I wanted to connect with this person and I got ghosted," and then they're like feeling like, and then they feel bad about themselves. I'm just like, "Well, hold on, there's two parts here.
Yes.
You got to work on your stuff, but also recognize that some people are just not available when you want them to be or when they say they're going to be." Right? So one thing that I have found helpful recently is if you use Google Calendar, you can set up appointments in there where people can self-schedule, or you can use one of those options like Acuity or something and do the same. So say, hey, I'm going to block off on Fridays and I'm going to have five appointments available. And then when you post that link. Yeah, because if they're not available when you're available, it just may not be the right time.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
And it might
So
be
I've
6
been
months
doing
down the line when it matches up, but that's okay.
it might be 6 months.
Right.
It's just like, when I asked for people to come on the show, the last time 30 people responded. Well, I'll see you soon.
Right. Do the best you can.
But
Right.
but listen, I did the little link thing, the little
Mhm.
scheduling, and got
I
people
did, I love
that's
that.
how you got scheduled.
Okay. That was Google?
Yeah.
Okay. I liked it. It was
Yeah.
super easy. I'm gonna have to look into that.
I love it. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's what I would do. Just to try it out, see if you like it. But that
Yeah.
way you can be kind of more consistent and then you're checking on people, you're building out your list. I have I got so many spreadsheets. But spreadsheets of people that are in my network And one thing that I do that I always encourage people to do is like if you see something on the group, the Facebook group, someone says, "Hey, I'm searching for this particular kind of therapist," and you know it's not you, but you saw the person last week who it is, tag them.
I want to be able to do more of that. Yes,
Yeah, it takes time.
it does.
For me, I usually the tab is open, so it's not that hard for me, but it's a skill for sure,
Yeah,
right? And being able to use a search function on a spreadsheet is nice.
right. Well, and also, just, networking that way in 12 states, right? To be able to have met with, people in states that I can recommend, that's kind of the goal, right? Is get to a
Yes,
place where I can do that. So then that way, I know that they're good quality clinicians are kind of getting their name out there.
right, right. I love it. Networking for me is like seeing an old friend. Y and that's why it makes it easy for me, or meeting a new person. It just flows well, I think. And then, of course, my podcast is my own networking tool.
Right. Yeah, you get to meet a new person every week.
Sometimes, several a day.
There you go.
Last Friday, I saw 5 people.
Okay. You got to make
Yes.
lots of friends.
I'm lots of friends, but I've been doing this for a long time. How long have you been in practice?
So, I finalized my LCSW in 2018, and so 2015 is when I started earning clinical hours.
Okay. I've been doing it for 16 years. So I have figured out some stuff along the way. And so you have to do the thing that works for you. And it sounds like you're still exploring what that is, which is great.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. Okay. What are some other things that you have found rewarding during this process?
Getting feedback. The other day, I met with somebody for a consultation, and the feedback that they gave me was that there were other people that they had met with that were cheaper than me, but they felt that my training and my experience and our consultation call, like they knew I would be the better fit. And so the money
Yes.
didn't matter anymore, right? Like they were like, paying more for you was worth it because I knew that I would get what I needed. And that, like,
Absolutely
felt
that.
very validating, right? And part of me was
Yes.
like, "Ooh, there were cheaper people," right? That I went there first. So I was like, "Oh, maybe I'm overcharging," right? Because that's where we go first. And then I was like, "Wait a minute. Go with the good feeling you got first, the one where they said they knew I would be worth it because I could help them get where they want to go." Like, that's what I needed to hold
Yes.
on to.
Okay, all right. And so then I have 2 questions for you. So, one is it sounds like you do a consultation call.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And 2, did they find that your website spoke to them in that way, or was it just through the consultation call that they knew that you would be a better fit?
So it sounds like both. So right. So I believe they were somebody had posted on Facebook. They're looking for somebody that has right. So then I responded. And one of the things that I do, which takes a bit, but it works for me, is I make sure that I don't respond with like just my website. Like I respond with like why I would be a good fit for like that specific person and who I work with. So, like, I make sure to say, like, I work with cycle breakers. I work with people who are ready to make the change. So, like, if they aren't there yet, that's okay. I'm not the good fit for them. And that's okay. Right. But I'm happy to talk to them. Right. And so then we did the 10 or 15-minute call and they had seen, my website and they were interested in like some of the trainings that I had done and some of my background and things like that because it played to what it was that they were going through and
Mhm.
how they ended up where they were. They felt like it was important that somebody knew what it was like, to have, um, you know, significant grief and all of those types of things, and like to have been involved with child welfare and to do all that kind of stuff. And so my background just spoke with them to them a little bit more.
Yeah. That's really good. And one thing I'll say, your website, you have a very thorough website. Your blogs, incredible.
Thank you.
Lots
I
of
have a passion for
information.
writing.
Yeah, I could
I do.
tell. Lots of information, lots of valuable information. And then we have to talk about your podcast. So you have other ways in which people can reach you as well. Can you tell us about your podcast?
Absolutely. So my podcast is called Grounded in 10. And it is exactly that. It's like just short 10-minute, ideally, resets, somatic resets, like nervous system resets. So more than just kind of, the tools that we all kind of leave university with, right? The box breathing, stuff like that, right? It's more than just that. And I found that need actually came for me for clients with intensives, especially ones who were doing intensives, like 2, 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that they had a way to help reset themselves. And so part of my bigger intensive packages is that, I take apart what they're feeling in their body throughout our sessions and I record them their own to listen to outside of our session so they can ground when they get that, that tightness in their chest or their stomach, or they're feeling like, they can't feel their feet for some reason, right?
Yeah.
And so they have something that's catered specifically to them, and it worked so well for them. And then people were like, "Oh, your voice is so soothing." And I was like, "Oh, maybe there's maybe there's something there." And so then I started kind of recording, and again, similar to networking, I needed to make time for it. And so
Yes.
that that became kind of a passion, and I get really excited when I get something recorded and I get it out there. Not a lot of people hear it, but that's okay. A lot of my clients use it, and that's what's important. Like, especially my clients that I'm trying to teach to be like in tune with their body and to like listen, to be proactive instead of reactive. Like, right there, right, let's listen to our bodies, so before we get to that place where we feel like, we can't function now, we can
Right.
catch it and like kind of get a handle on it. And so, yeah, it was definitely a learning curve. It was my first time kind of ever doing anything like that. I started on Patreon, and then I figured out how to get it to Spotify, and then I figured out how to get it to Apple. So now it goes, now it goes to all the places.
Yay.
And so, yeah, so it's very much just kind of a one woman show. I record, I put it up there. There's no sound in the background. I wanted to make it friendly for my neurodivergence people, where sometimes there's a lot of stuff kind of going on. There's like noises and bells and water and frogs, and they get right really distracted by all the things. And they're like, I don't know, it was great. And then this like frog kept coming in every once in a while. So I found myself listening for the frog, and I was like, okay. So there's no background, it's just kind of my voice. And then I expanded it a little bit to kind of go hand in hand with my blog that you mentioned. So there's like an educational episode that comes out that just kind of talks about, struggles, like whatever moved me that week or whatever a lot of my clients are struggling with is kind of where my blog ideas come from. And then I try to make like a companion, um, grounding episode to go with it, right? So if it's on people pleasing, I try to make one around people pleasing to help you reset, to help you take the moment and honor yourself and be okay with saying no, or being okay with saying, let me get back to you. So that way
Yeah.
you give yourself the space to say that.
Oh, this is great. It's fantastic. And having different ways in which people can access you, I think is helpful
Hmm.
when building a brand, pivoting, those kind of things can be great. One thing that I found is like I just did a couple meditations and put them on Insight Timer. And I did like a handful of them. And I was like, oh, I got super busy and I haven't been able to do it for a while. But you know what? People have been sending me money. So
You said
I'm getting
insight timer.
yeah, Insight Timer. Yeah, I've been getting, like, paid, for
Okay.
my meditations, and I'm like, "Listen, I will take that dollar and 12
Hey,
cents at any time."
right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's another potential, revenue source for you because 'cause you're already recording material, you know? You never know. Um, I think it's just great that we get to be creative and kinda do whatever we wanna do as long as we're being ethical, to help get some healing in this world. We need it. We absolutely need it, and I just have to remind myself every time I see a damn news article that, I'm helping people one day at a time, right? So what do you think is next for you? I know you have some things in transition, but what's that big thing that you're kinda looking forward to?
I think working with Danielle and the website, I'm really looking forward to like getting like her feedback and figuring out like what's working and what we can make work a little bit better, especially in the other states. And then I think finally just finishing taking that step. My goal I think is what I am preparing for is to really finish the deep paneling process. My hope is by the end of the year is what I'm shooting for. As I'm kind of slowly building everything up. Because what I'm finding now is I'm in that weird place where I'm getting more consultations, but now I'm kind of running out of room. Um, right. So like, I didn't want to drop all my insurance stuff. It's kind of trying to find that balance. And so trying to honor what that looks like and making sure that I'm making that transition and doing it in a way that feels good. Like I do want to um, figure out some sort of a sliding scale process, right? Like probably like a green bottle sort of um, thing. But I got to figure out what it looks like regularly first.
Right. Correct.
Right, and so
Put yes.
that's what I'm trying like, I know I have a desire to someday, be able to do pro bono or to be able to do some of those things, but first I need to make sure that, like, my everything is sustainable because I can't help people if I can't stay in business.
Yes. People, please fill your cups up first. People come into my office talking about they started a practice with reduced rates. Do you have a full rate first?
Right.
And it's no shade. I just want you to get paid first.
Mhm. Yes.
Please get your rates that you need first before we go out here trying to solve, a national problem.
Right. Yes, well, and good quality trainings and CEUs and things like that, they're expensive, right? They're a few $1,000s a pop for some of them, and it feels a lot like gatekeeping sometimes because it's
It is.
really expensive. And so, those things for me to have the expertise that I have, I paid a lot of money for those things, and have an ROI too. And
Yes.
I think you said something, I don't remember where you said it, but you said something like you're a business owner first and your business happens to be therapy. And I was like, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. Yeah. You're a business owner. You had to get a business license in order to show up and do this. Sure, we have a clinical license. We could go work for somebody else too. But when you decided that you wanted to open up and put up a shingle, you had to slide into that business role. And if you didn't know how to do it, you had to learn. I had to learn. I didn't know. It was no one was teaching me how to set up this business. And let me tell you, I'm still making mistakes. I'm learning from them,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
If you're not learning from your mistakes, you're going to go ahead and close the door. Turn the light off because you are going to shut down. And
Yes.
I'm trying to help people open up, right?
Yep.
And stay open.
And I think, finding your niche is the most important part because I think most of us leave school kind of with that message that we are just supposed to be able to treat anyone. Like, you should be able to
Yes.
meet everyone where they are. You should be able to treat anyone, and then you end up in, like, community mental health, or you end up someplace with an internship that they're like, "No, you just need to get your hours. You don't get to decide. You don't get to be
Right.
picky." And I'm like,
Right.
"Okay."
I mean, you're speaking to this because I remember an experience of sitting in one of my human services classes, and people were saying, "Well, I can't work with this population. I can't work with that population." And I was just like, "You don't sound like you want to work with anybody."
Yeah,
I remember it like it was yesterday because it cemented this idea in me that I need to be able to work with anyone. And I went forth with that mission, and yes, I did go into community mental health and I was able to meet people where they were, but then I had to make a decision if I wanted to stay doing that. And I didn't.
right, right,
I didn't. I wanted to meet people that were focused on on my niche,
right,
right? And I
right.
wanted to get paid.
Yes.
Community mental health was never ever going to pay me what
No,
I need.
no.
Absolutely never. But was it a good place to start? Sure. Why not?
Yes.
You know? And I always say, y'all don't heard it on the podcast. My very first week on the job, I was at a SWAT standoff. So I learned on the job.
Yeah,
But I sure
absolutely.
as hell don't want to do that now. Not at this age.
Right. Well, and
No.
it's just not sustainable. And the truth is, the more expertise that you get, and the better you get, and the more passionate you are, the better the clients feel, and the more they can improve, right? And the more that you can show up for them, in the way that they need, because it's so easy to get exhausted, especially community mental health, and then you find yourself doing the thing that none of us want to do, which is just telling people what they should be doing. You're like, "Look, let me just tell you how this is gonna play out, and then let's skip to the end."
Yes, yes, yes. I don't do that. We don't need to
Right.
do all
No.
that, right? We have people who could do that, but it's not us, right? Well, Sarah, I am just so grateful that you came onto the show today and shared everything about your practice and sharing that little tidbit that about the book and how that was meaningful for you. Cycle breakers, I am a cycle breaker. I appreciate you claiming that and naming it and putting it out there in the world. That is fantastic. And I just wish so much, for you to continue to build your private pay practice and your intensives. So I want you to tell the people where they can find you and how they can connect.
Absolutely. So my website is traumawisehealing.com. I am on Facebook under Notes from the Therapy Room. That's what I call my blog. And my podcast, of course, is Grounded in 10.
Yay. Well, Sarah, anytime you want to come back, please do. It has been a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone. This is DJ, and I will be back next time with someone even more fabulous than Sarah. Because we're all fabulous in our own ways, right? And so each one of us gets an opportunity to show up and be fabulous. All right, guys. I'll see you back here next time. I've been DJ, and have a great evening. If you have a specific question, a stuck point, or want another set of eyes on what you already built, the 90-minute strategy call is the move. Direct, focused, real strategy you can act on this week. Details at privatepaypractitioners.com.